I think ColdStream Hills, obviously, for those that know, started by James Halliday. It may be the most awarded vineyard in the Yarra Valley in terms of accolades. Not just by Halliday himself, but by, numerous...
Would be very biased.
100 points.
Every single year.
That'd be convenient, wouldn't it? The winner is ColdStream Hills.
It's moving, no? Sorry. I think he's maybe here.
He's too tall, I think. He came out of the lift before. I was like, they're starstruck. You have to look up a little bit,
That's why I wanted to...
We met someone the other day and they're like, I thought you were... Because, I'm like 6
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And remember someone was like, I thought you were really short. Because in the podcast, I'm like this. And Carlos has always got good posture. I personally am ready to try the blinds.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can say that he's been taught. For someone that says you're an idiot, you are well beyond...
Bloody hell.
Yeah, that was
very impressive.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, team.
Hello, wine lovers. Welcome back to Got Somme. Today's episode is going to be a deep dive on the Yarra Valley and maybe some arguments back and forth about is it really and does it deserve to be Australia's best wine region? Well, we've got a person who likes to be called Brendo. I'm going to call him Brenden. Brendo, how are you?
Good, guys. How you going? Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on with you too.
We appreciate it. Also known as the wine animal online.
Instagram.
Yeah.
It's the key. It's
Absolutely.
the key to wine.
I know. Don't worry about LinkedIn. This is how you make real
I
connections
don't even know
in wine.
what LinkedIn is, so we'll just... Maybe it doesn't come out to the valley yet.
It hasn't, but you live in the valley, so you're going to be definitely taking the side of Yarra Valley being one of Australia's best, if not the best, wine-producing country.
There's no arguments
region.
from me.
Okay, well, there you go. Of course, we have Mr. Old World, Master Sommelier Carlos Simio Santos next to me. How are you, Carlos?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you, Angus. Thank you, Bren, for joining us today.
We should say as well that we're not opposed to Yarra Valley. We love Yarra Valley. I mean, I think people know by now, we live in Melbourne. I mean, if we're going to go down for a weekend of wine, we're heading down to the Yarra. But for argument's sake, as a person who is a passionate South Australian lover, I lived there for 4 years, maybe even might move my family back there one day. I've spent beautiful times traversing through the vines of McLaren Vale and Barossa. I might have some hard-hitting questions for you as well about whether it does deserve the title. But Brendo, give us a bit of backstory as to your history with wine and why you're so pro Yarra Valley.
It all started with wholesaling and importing. I thought that was a good way to learn about wine through spending a whole whack of money that I didn't have on wines from overseas that I knew nothing about and trying to sell them on my own. Now, mind you, during the day, I'm a tradie, I'm a chippy. I have a carpentry company that I run with a business partner and we have a bunch of employees. So this became a all-encompassing passion that I did after hours. So you imagine a dude in short shorts, high vis with a pink bottle of rosé walking in to sell wine. It was,
Nice.
it was unique and it worked for me. And the wine happened to be John Bon Jovi and Jesse Bon Jovi's wine, Hampton Water, the one that I brought into Australia, and that was fantastic until big business, and we won't mention names, came in and just took it away from me basically without...
So you sort of had some sort of exclusive use at that point?
I did have, up for like 14 months, and then it turned up at a large chain, and then that's where basically the stem, like the passion for the Yarra Valley then sort of started to take over, and doing something on my own or something that was mine and retail, and that's where that came from. It sort of took a lot of big business sort of crush, before it comes out literally.
Yeah, and you from there, so you from the Yarra Valley. So why wouldn't you?
So I grew up like 15 minutes from like what you would call the Yarra Valley, like from the start of the Yarra Valley, and now I am literally, the closest vines to me would be a 4-minute walk or a 5-minute walk to be the closest vineyard. So the grapes from this are, like a 1.5-minute drive.
Well, let's start with this. This is your own rosé as well. The John Bon Jovi of Yarra Valley.
This is my collaboration with my good mate Stuart, who basically came to me after knowing what I'd been through with big business and with everything that had happened, and said, well, why don't you do your own brand? If you're going to be the rosé man of the Yarra or the Yarra man, like, why don't you do your own? So the style that I was after, that I was very adamant on, was that light provincial, like more savoury rather than that fruity floral that, a lot of people expect from rosé.
Yeah, really nice, man.
I think it becomes people, like, they have such a preference for red wine, white wine. It's and then there's, I don't know if it's a stigma around rosé or if it's it's a ladies' drink or whatever, whatever it is. And then
Rosé?
if you can add rosé, yeah. If you can add like textural elements, you can appeal to a wider audience. Now, obviously, I was in charge of label design and labeling. I like flamingos, I like pink. I don't shy away from that. So, if you're an older gentleman who drinks beer, you are not going to like my label, right?
Okay.
But then the idea was that if you like what's inside the bottle, you can see past the label. And, Stuart's done in my opinion, he's done a fantastic job of making something that, will last years rather than a year-by-year drink it. Otherwise, it's going to go bad proposition.
Yeah. So in order to reach more this Provençal style rosé that you've mentioned, how did Stuart and yourself made it to that? So in terms of crushing and
so it's 100% Syrah. So we obviously used a heavier grape to start with. I just wanted something that wasn't just your typical, Yarra Valley Pinot rosé, which the Yarra Valley's moving away from. It's basically it was picked early when he determined that it was right to go. I mean, I've tasted a lot of grapes with him walking the vines, but I mean, I just eat a grape and I'm like, tastes good. Yeah, this is going to make good wine. Like, as he's like, it needs 4 more days. It needs, 10 mil more of rain. Like, I don't know how they determine this, but, I put all my trust, not just, a financial investment, but my personal trust in a brand, in him to say, let's do it. And then it was basically picked, straight back to the winery, pressed, one press, and then straight into stainless steel and neutral oak. And then he really didn't do anything more with it, just really let it do his thing. I guess they call it minimal
touch.
Minimal intervention, yeah.
Yeah. So you brought along some of your favourite Yarra Valleys, including obviously your own, which we've just spoken about. What are we going to hit next, and why have you chosen to bring that into the Got Somme audience?
The next three Chardonnays are from very different locations within the Yarra Valley, different elevations, different soils, different microclimates, different rainfall, and I asked a lot of the winemakers what determines Upper Yarra and Lower Yarra to very differing answers.
Well, that's very interesting, no? Because the Yarra Valley is so divided by the different mountain range, right? The northern part, the Great Dividing Range, on the southern, the Mount Androng, and I guess the valley floor, which will make the riper styles and slightly warmer, right? So the Syrah, the Cabernet Sauvignon, where it actually gets to ripen, right? But this Alkimi is kind of southeastern part, isn't it? Like Gladysdale or something?
Yeah, Gladysdale. Yeah. So it's considered the Upper Yarra. It's got the hills. It's got the elevation.
I'm looking at it. The appearance is certainly different to the other two, which we'll get to. But this
has a little bit of cloud to it.
Yeah.
I noticed that too when Carlos poured it for us. I was like, this is the first look at this one. This is the first look at this wine that I've had. So this is obviously Stuart is the same winemaker that makes our rosé.
Oh, he makes this as well.
This is his actual label. He's also the head winemaker at Kellybrook in the Yarra Valley.
This is the 2021.
He has a very interesting upbringing, right? I mean, in the wine industry, at one of my favorite producers where he worked is Emmerich Knoll in Austria. That's Emmerich Knoll has this beautiful label that it's the Saint Urban, so the patron of winemaking, basically, Saint. And so he worked for them. That's maybe some influence there as well on that. So I mean, Henschke, I think he did some work at Henschke and stuff like this. Yarra Earring.
Yep, before Sarah took over.
Exactly.
So this one is from the lowest elevation on the vineyard, which is still 160 meters.
That's the thing. It goes from 30 meters to 400 meters or so.
Yeah, very quickly too. Like it can be really steep. Like, some of the vineyards that, these guys own and these guys too, it's very, very, they have bastard hill, like literally. It's because of the nature of the hill.
Yeah,
like, it's just not fun.
To get up.
Yeah, correct.
At the 160 meters, that's pretty good already. Like good elevation. So I guess a lot more fresher fruits coming from there as well.
I found that's when we chatted to Martin Spedding of 10 Minutes by Tractor. He bought in and up the hill and down the hill, and it was amazing to see from land that is so close in its distance from each other, but difference in elevation, the difference of the wine. Same wine planted, same time they were planted.
Same wine making, same...
Yeah, every process the same, except completely different wines. Yeah. To the point that we had favourites. I think I was down the hill, you were up the hill. But yeah, and it's going to be interesting. So this was, let's say, a medium.
And this is so like if you're looking at like a map, right, and you're saying you're coming into the entry of the Yarra Valley and you're calling it a circle or a triangle, whatever shape you want to do, you're sort of like heading to the far right, like backside, like so Gladysdale. So sort of where I am in the start, it sort of heads out to the right. And then as we move along, we get the next vineyard, which is at the base of the Warrenmate foothills. So it's surrounded obviously by...
Closer to the ColdStream?
Yeah.
More into the valley?
Two neighbouring wineries are Yarra Earring and...
Levantine Hill?
Leamington Hills a little bit further back. The next vineyard next would be ColdStream Hills, would have vines.
ColdStream Hills,
as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which we'll try a little later as well.
Yeah.
But this is Giant Steps. We actually got a message recently about Giant Steps. Someone was very eager to have a deep dive into Giant Steps, or says that that was their favourite Chardonnay and Pinot, I believe.
You could do a full episode just on Giant Steps and Melanie and Steve and the whole team out there. These are, it's very difficult to say a favourite, but you do have favourites. Everybody has a personal preference. Giant Steps for me make a range that now the single vineyards are becoming, under Melanie's guise and guidance, becoming more individual and more distinct to the site, and they're very scattered around.
So this is the
Yarra
Sexton
Valley, Sexton Vineyard. So this is, my personal favourite. I've got all of them. I had all of them there last night out in the line, and I messaged Mike, the assistant winemaker. I'm like, I want to have a better representation of a lower Yarra. Which one should I use? And there wasn't even a hesitation in the answer to come back and said Sexton.
You see how different from the Alkimi to the Giant Step. Like the Alkimi feels like it's a little bit more meaty and a little bit more substance and texture to it because of the I guess like even the no fining, no filtration gives that slightly more dusty, sandier texture in the palate. While the Giant Steps is so much is clean. I mean, it's very pristine glass of wine. Is different. But also the aroma, that's what I was getting to.
So different, the smells.
Yeah, stone fruit more, and on the Sexton, on the
like
Giant
nectarine,
Steps.
peaches, a little bit more.
Yeah,
like
more
the fruits,
stone.
it changes.
Yeah.
They're still like that grapefruit, lemon, lime, that citrus, and that, but it's sort of just.
But even
down.
even the malolactic fermentation as well. So the notes of cream and butterscotch are really well defined. I'm not entirely sure whether, I mean, it's if he went through 100% malolactic or not.
No, not 100%. And then they do, everything is all gravity fed in their winery too. The winery there it's brilliant to actually see in action, without the massive pump machines and lines going everywhere. It's all done by gravity. So it's really
pristine.
letting the fruit sparkle and the fruit shine.
I mean, we are a podcast that started on price. We try to find the best bottle under $30. So could you mention the price as we go along, or just, can you?
$28.
Yep.
That's what we sell it for.
Yep.
$40. You're heading up now for the 22s. You're up at the $80 mark now
For the Giant Steps.
for the Giant Steps. Yeah, the Toolangi is $100.
Which is next.
And then as we get down to the Pinot, you head right back down to $35 and the entry level.
Yeah. So we've got we've got 4 Chardonnays and we've got 1 Pinot. The ColdStream Hills, a $45 bottle, and then we have a red of some sort that we're going to do at the end for our blind tasting.
But interesting as well how we're moving from the kind of southeastern part of the Yarra Valley, right, Blaisdell, and now moving into ColdStream which
Into the center.
to the center and the valley floor.
Correct.
And now with the Toolangi, totally
We're going
on the
up to the hills, to the
northwest,
state forest, to like rolling hills.
Dixon Creek. Yeah.
2 very different expressions of Chardonnay. And so what can we expect before we get into the Toolangi? Now, I've heard, am I saying it right? Toolangi? I've heard a lot about this F block.
So an interesting story with Toolangi Vineyard.
Please.
So Toolangi was bought by Helmut, who's Rochford Wines, in 2017. I don't think there was any wine made in 17, just due to the takeover. But prior to that, the vineyard, when it was planted in the late 90s and, through its journey, the wines were made by many different winemakers. So, for example, the F block Chardonnay, which we're tasting, the E block and the D block, so the Pinot and the Shiraz, were made by Rick Kinsbrunner from Gioconda, who most people in the wine industry will know.
Great wine
as,
brand.
in my opinion, makes the single best white wine out of Australia. And again, that is just my opinion.
Yep.
Okay. Other people that have made wines for these guys, they do a Paul's Lane and then they do an estate range or an entry-level range, is Tom Carson from Surat and Yabby Lakes fame. I think he was the first guy to win
the
award
Len Evans.
Yeah. Correct. And then also Dave Bicknell from Oak Ridge had made the wines. Who else is there? There's Matt Harrop from Shadowfax.
All made this Toolangi's
they
wines at
have
one
all
point.
made in the past Toolangi's wines. So when you're seeing on auction sites and you're seeing for sale, you're seeing the old label of Toolangi with like written long ways.
Yep.
If it's the F block and that, it was made by the same winemaker who makes Gioconda. So the grapes were taken and they up to where they make their wine. Whereas now under Rochford, under Caspar, who is their head winemaker, he started in 2019. They put a really big focus on, and in Caspar's words, of bringing the viticulture, the vineyard, and everything together as one to reflect a house, if in Champagne terms, a house style, so that the wines will represent of place and of slopes and different soils. They're going from 50 meters to 400 meters just in their vineyard alone.
Well, personally, this is my favorite out of the lineup so far, but only because it does hit the characteristics that I do look for, which is there is obviously stone fruit is the most present fruit at the front, but there's a long lingering finish. I had a little sip, about 30 seconds. I'm on my second sip now. I'm really enjoying it, but up until that second sip, still present in my mouth right now. It's still there. The acid is building in there. It feels super well balanced.
Yeah, there's like that river stones, like river pebbles, that slaty mineralness.
My next thing was minerals.
I get match strike, a match strike, flinty, sharp, searing.
Yeah.
But
I've actually got a bottle of this in my fridge.
Oh, it's delicious.
Should we head over to the ColdStream before we do a blind tasting, which we know will be red? ColdStream, obviously, we're looking at a Pinot Noir here. Obviously, it thrives in colder climates. You're self-confessed Chardonnay man, but Pinot, would it be a close second for you?
For reds, I'm going back to Pinots, Nebs, all these wines that are growing really well in the Yarra. I think ColdStream Hills, obviously, for those that know, started by James Halliday, in 1985. Great year, by the way. Great, probably the best vintage ever. It may be the most awarded vineyard in the Yarra Valley in terms of accolades, not just by Halliday himself, but by numerous.
would be very biased.
Points.
Every single year.
That'd be convenient, wouldn't it? The winner is ColdStream Hills every time.
God, wouldn't it be funny to be a winemaker, like a wine taster, as part of the Halliday team, and just sending through the 2021 vintage to Halliday 86.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It got lost in the mail. I never received that.
You wouldn't
I
send
never
it on.
received
You
it.
wouldn't send it on. You just keep asking until someone loves it. 92.
Yeah, correct. What did you give it? Yeah, we'll go with yours. Now, these guys have, this is $35, right? They have wines all the way up to $90. They have single blocks. They now have single blocks with single rows. So they've done, like an E block and a D block. So they've done something with whole bunches. They've done something with whole berry. They've done 40% new oak, 30% new oak, right down to vineyard rows now. And this wine actually in the recent Yarra Valley Wine Show won Best Pinot, Best Red, and Champion Wine of the entire show. So I could have easily brought a single vineyard, a higher elevation. I should have brought, but this is to showcase that this is grapes from Upper Yarra, Lower Yarra, different clones, different, different pick dates, the same vinification methods, but then blended through to give you something that, if this was $30, you could definitely put this in your quest for the best $30 wine.
Yeah, I think the Yarra Valley has something very, very unique, which is, different altitudes, different types of soil, different parts of the valley, which brings something enthusiastic and exciting for every winemaker, really, right? And more.
The vintages have been, we've had like what they call like the gold, they're calling it like the trifecta now,
Absolutely,
21, 22, 23 are like
exactly.
just, quantities are way down. My quality is actually through the roof. I'm sure Sarah said the same thing. The quantities. I mean, I did a tour there with her recently, and she had more empty barrels of white wine than she did full barrels of white wine. Which is great for quality, but for the consumer and for us, it just is driving prices north.
I personally am ready to try the blinds.
Yeah, you want me to do it?
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot, wine novice. What I'll do is I'll try and do my assessment first, then we'll have the master do his work. And then we'll discuss the wine and why you chose it, because obviously there's some sort of personal connection to the wine itself. Let's do it. I also pump through these. It's amazing how quick I do wine assessment. So it is a medium to dark ruby. I can't see any signs of age. I would say that this would be in a 2019 plus era. On the nose. Oh, very interesting. Wow. A little bit of, as Carlos would say, tapenade. That little bit of like that olive kind of, I see it as like Swan's olive dip. Red fruits and a little bit of dark fruits. Ripe. It's weird. I don't want to be biased towards the fact that it's Yarra Valley, but it doesn't feel super cold climate, but I'm going to get to it. I'm still on the nose. Here's a palate. Medium to medium plus acid. Not very tannic. I'd say medium tannins. I would say alcohol is medium plus. I'd say it's 14%. Maybe, 14-ish. Really presents on the nose. For me, on the palate, it's not as pronounced. I would say this is a cold climate, and I'm saying that now that I've tasted it. Acid's really high. Also not really high, medium plus. I would say that this is I want to say it's a blend. I want to say that it's like an interesting blend of something like a Shiraz and something. Could even be Syrah. I'd say it's like, I don't know how to do it. Like maybe like, what's GSM? Grenache, Shiraz, Mataro? I'd say it's like 2 of those. Something in there. Maybe 2 of those 3.
And vintage?
2019. Carlos.
Oh, I can say that he's been taught. For someone that says you're an idiot, you are well beyond.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, that was
very impressive.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, team.
Very good. Very, very good.
Thank you, sir.
Amazing approach. Structure-wise, I think it's perfect. I think like full-bodied, but fine, silky tannin, really elegant and velvety at the same time. Alcohol is warming, is there, but it will give longevity to the wine as well. Will be a preservative for the long run.
Yeah, feels like it could definitely age.
Alongside the tannins are present, but although they are already fine and silky, but they will integrate even more. I mean, like age-wise, I think it's maybe a little bit older though. I think so. I think 19.
You're right. There is a slight garnet edge to the like tiny, maybe, the very beginnings of it. So
maybe a little bit more. I'm tempted. I don't know. Like, I mean, but I think maybe at least 10 years. Maybe like 14 or 15, 16, something like this. Maybe even older. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe even a little older. But it totally has that Syrah, Northern Rhone approach to it. So I mean, if it's Northern Rhone, it's Northern Rhone for sure. But I think we probably in the Yarra Valley because we're tasting Yarra Valley, right?
You can play the man there.
Yeah, exactly. So and that is typically a Syrah and a Viognier blend. But then again, I think there was on the list of tasting wines the Syrah from Tom Carson, and that's probably what it is. If you brought that bottle, that's what it leads me to.
What have you brought in?
So for me, it's probably, if not, it probably is the best value pound for pound wine that comes from the Yarra Valley. If you can get your hands on it, it is made by Tom Carson, so it is the Syrah Shiraz Viognier, and I think the Viognier just. Like that's where the aromatics, for me, that's where the aromatics come from. The lift from a Yarra Valley Syrah, which is that more tapenade meats, cured smoked meats, that just gets that really floral lift. Now the Viognier grapes were, the Viognier vines that they planted in 2001 were grafted from Dr. Bailey Caritas's vines.
That's a very funny story.
Which were stolen from Condru, which is highly illegal and really, really
funny.
Not allowed
from Chateau Grillé.
Yeah, correct. So, and then to
I
know
that. So Yarra Yering have stolen vines?
They've
Dr.
grafted,
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Viognier. So
hey, if it makes that
you
wine,
drank the Viognier, you drank the Viognier recently.
Very recently.
Amazing wine from them, the Caritas Viognier. And I think, so the vintage?
Yes,
so
2014.
6 years old, 2017.
Okay.
So I was going to do the 22, which I was gifted by a good friend of mine. Mateo.
Syrah. Okay.
But I think that what Tom's done, he has a 1 hectare vineyard that's planted at 4 times the density of any other vineyard, and the 5%. I'm pretty sure it's 5% or it's around those figures of co-fermented Viognier. Just really like it oils it up. It gives it that high. It's 13.5, so that it sort of makes the alcohol feel warmer than what it really is. I think like we talked about before, they make a Grenache, they make the close planted Pinot. They do things, and it's about. He doesn't separate the viticulture and the winemaking. It is like one unit. So when he won Viticulturist of the Year, or him and his wife won, it's like one award. It doesn't separate winemaker of the year and viticulturist of the year. It's all just one
team,
at one, which I think is a lot of what the movement is now. Is vineyard and winemaking is one unit.
Mate, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks to both of you. That was brilliant.
And I can't wait to get back down there. Like, we're an hour and a half away, from, being in that.
Let me know. We'll go out.
Oh, mate,
I love it.
All of your details for the Wine Animal is below, but it's just at the Wine Animal below. I appreciate your time and your experience down to the Yarra.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much for coming.